In the winter of 1868, as the first flakes of snow began to fall on the misty mountains of Japan, the country was on the edge of a great change. The Meiji Restoration was in full swing, and the centuries-old feudal system was crumbling, replaced by a new, modern empire. The samurai, once the backbone of Japanese society, were being stripped of their privileges, their lands, and their place in the world. One man, Kaito Araki, stood at the center of this storm, torn between the traditions of his ancestors and the relentless march of progress. Kaito was born into a proud samurai family in the province of Aizu, a land steeped in centuries of warrior history. His father had served the Tokugawa shogunate, the powerful military dictatorship that ruled Japan before the arrival of the Meiji government. Kaito himself had trained in the ways of the sword since he could walk, mastering the ancient martial arts and the code of the samurai, bushido. But now, with the winds of change blowing fiercely across the land, he found himself a relic of a bygone era. The emperor had issued a decree: the samurai were to be disbanded. Their swords were to be surrendered, their privileges revoked, and they were expected to find new roles in a rapidly modernizing society. Kaito's family, like many others, had lost their position. Their estate had been seized, and the land once farmed by peasants under their protection was now managed by the new government officials. The world had changed, and Kaito felt like he was standing on the edge of a precipice, staring into an unknown future. But for all the political upheaval, Kaito's loyalty remained unwavering. He could not imagine living without the honor of his samurai heritage, nor could he abide the sight of the once proud warrior class being erased from history. His father, a proud and stoic man, had died in battle in defense of the Tokugawa regime, and Kaito had always believed it was his duty to preserve the legacy of his family. On the day the new government soldiers came to take his family's last possession, the ancestral katana passed down through generations, Kaito did something that would change the course of his life. His younger brother, Taro, was a dreamer, an idealist who had always embraced the changes sweeping through Japan. He had joined the imperial army, eager to fight for the new emperor and his vision of a modern Japan. He was a bright, hopeful young man, full of passion for the future. Taro was home on leave when the soldiers came to seize the katana. "I'll give it to them," Taro said, trying to ease Kaito's tension. "It's just a sword. We can start over. The emperor is rebuilding Japan, this is what we must do." Kaito looked at his brother, his face a mask of quiet determination. "This sword is more than metal. It is a symbol of our ancestors, of everything we have fought for. We cannot let it be taken without resistance." "You're too stubborn," Taro replied, his voice filled with the weariness of a soldier who had seen too much conflict. "This is the future. The samurai are gone." "No," Kaito said firmly. "We may be gone, but the spirit of the samurai will live on. I will not dishonor our ancestors by surrendering what is ours." As the government soldiers arrived at their door, Kaito drew his katana for the last time. His movements were precise, his eyes calm as a winter lake. He did not seek bloodshed, but neither would he allow his heritage to be desecrated. "I will not hand it over," Kaito said, his voice cold. The soldiers drew their swords, but Taro stepped in front of them, placing his hand on his brother's arm. "Brother, please," he pleaded. "This is not the way. There will be no glory in this. We must go forward, not backward." Kaito looked at Taro, his younger brother now a soldier of the emperor, a man caught between two worlds. There was pain in his eyes, pain for the brother he had once trained in the ways of the samurai, now wearing the uniform of the new age. Kaito felt the weight of the past on his shoulders, but his duty to honor his father and the legacy of the samurai could not be ignored. He sighed deeply, lowering his sword. "I will give it to them," Kaito said softly. "But only on one condition." Taro raised an eyebrow. "What condition?" "I ask that you promise me something," Kaito said, his voice grave. "No matter where you go, no matter how far the world changes, you will always remember the code of the samurai. You will always honor the values of loyalty, duty, and honor, things the emperor cannot take from us." Taro looked at his brother, torn between his duty to the new empire and his loyalty to Kaito, who had been like a father to him after their father's death. "I promise, Kaito," he said finally, though his voice trembled. "I will remember." And with that, Kaito handed over the katana, the last vestige of his samurai lineage. Years passed, and Japan rapidly transformed under the new emperor. The old ways faded into the pages of history, and the samurai disappeared into legend. The modern era brought with it the Industrial Revolution, the rise of cities, and the end of an age that had lasted for centuries. But in the quiet moments of his life, Taro never forgot the promise he made to his brother. He carried the code of the samurai with him, hidden within his heart, as he served in the army of the emperor, later becoming a leader in the Meiji government's military reforms. In 1895, after decades of war and transformation, Taro found himself at the front lines of the First Sino-Japanese War, fighting for the very nation that had ended the samurai's way of life. Amidst the chaos of battle, as Taro led his men to victory, he found himself in a moment of quiet reflection. In the midst of the bloodshed, he remembered Kaito's words: loyalty, duty, and honor. After the war, Taro returned to the mountains of Aizu, where the ruins of his family's estate still stood. There, beneath the snow-covered hills, he visited the small shrine where his brother Kaito had once prayed for the future of their family and their way of life. He laid a simple flower at the shrine and whispered the words his brother had asked him to remember. "I have honored our ancestors," he said quietly. "And I will continue to." Kaito's katana, now lost to the sands of time, had been more than just a weapon. It had been a symbol of a dying world. But Taro's promise, made in the bitter cold of a winter morning long ago, lived on as a testament to the enduring spirit of the samurai, quiet, resilient, and steadfast in the face of a world that could never erase the past. The end. This story blends historical events, the Meiji Restoration, the decline of the samurai, and the social and cultural upheaval of 19th century Japan, into a fictional narrative about loyalty, family, and the passing of an era. It captures the internal struggle of a samurai torn between the traditional values of bushido and the demands of a rapidly modernizing nation.